Friends and family, welcome to the wedding reception of Alvin and Belinda. Now, the happy couple are asking that we do something a little different tonight. Fred took a sip from his beer and began to dread what the next part of this announcement might possibly be. He already felt overdressed and out of place here. The last thing he needed was something else to make this night any more awkward. There is about 30 minutes before we take our seats. As the master of ceremonies for tonight's event, I would like to invite you to introduce yourself to someone new, as our newly married couple believe tonight should not just be about them coming together, but be about bringing everyone together. Just as he was about to finish his drink, he saw someone else overdressed making his way towards, in a hurry too. It took a moment before he recognized who it was. Dan, is that you? My God, it's been ages. How have you been doing? Fred asked. I've been great, Fred, living the dream. You have no idea how happy I am to see you. Dan said, How long has it been? Not since the first Thanksgiving back from college. That night at Alvin's was the last time we were all together. That's right, it was you, me, Alvin, and, as Fred was trying to finish his sentence, two arms aggressively wrapped around the shoulders of the two old friends and squeezed them close together. They said we had to find someone new, but I could only find a couple of assholes that I used to know, the man who was hugging them from behind said. Larry, Dan said. The three men embraced and hugged. Speak of the devil, and he shall arrive, Dan said. Hey, I've been called a lot of things, and that is most definitely one of them, Larry replied. The laughter of the three old friends was interrupted by an older woman who joined the circle. Well, aren't we a rambunctious group? I am curious, how do you three finely dressed gentlemen know the bride and groom? The older woman asked. We're Alvin's friends from high school. Fred said, Oh, it is an honor to meet all of you. I'm Beatrice. I've heard so many stories about you four together. It sounded like you were all go-getters in high school, encouraging each other, ready to take on the world, fight the power, and make the world a better place. Real young, idealistic types that were going to save the world and have fun doing it together. That was the plan, all right, Larry said. Yeah. I heard Alvin started this nonprofit to help drinking water in impoverished urban areas. Fred said. I heard he also started a small microlending startup overseas. Dan said, didn't he start something that helped bring electricity to rural communities in Africa? Larry asked. He actually did all three of those projects, and the results have been quite remarkable. And most importantly, it's through his work in these areas that he met my daughter. Beatrice said, Oh, you're the mother of the bride? Congratulations. Fred said, Why, thank you. Yes, Alvin was soliciting a donation from my husband when Belinda happened to walk in. I think he managed to charm her more than my husband, Beatrice said. Alvin was always great at bending people to his will. Larry said, He told us all about you fine gentlemen. Tell me, what do you do? Great things, I imagine. Which one of you is the doctor? Beatrice asked. Oh, that would be me. Dan said. Wow, you made it all the way to the end? Good for you. I know that was a big goal of yours. Larry said. Always a do-gooder, talking about saving people's lives. Fred said. Oh joy. So let me guess. Doctors Without Borders, sorry, Medicine Sans Frontiers? Beatrice asked. Not quite. Dan said. He took a sip from his drink. I know. An ER trauma surgeon. Beatrice said. I'm an ophthalmologist. Dan said. Oh, Beatrice said. So let me get this straight. Out of all the fields of medicine, you chose one of the few that doesn't actually save lives. Larry said. He helps them see their struggles that much clearer. Fred said. Look, medical school was expensive. We didn't have a lot of money, and I did really well in medical school. Ophthalmology pays really well and is highly competitive, and I wanted the challenge. Dan said. I see. Well, good for you. I mean, you are helping people. I guess. The common man, I assume. Beatrice said. No, I work at a private clinic. Most of our clients are high net worth individuals, most near the end of life, but want those last few years to have a bit higher quality. Interesting, Beatrice said. She turned her attention to the two other high school friends. How about you fine gentlemen? I vaguely remember hearing one of you was inspired to be a lawyer. Oh, that'd be me, Larry said. Larry Sellers, ESQ, Dan said. You didn't want to just help the individual person, you wanted to fight the whole system. Fred said, Yeah, and I managed to do that. For a bit. I volunteered at the legal clinic during law school, but I knew if I wanted to change anything, I'd have to see how the other side worked. So I got a job as an associate, put in the required 84 hours a week, did the networking thing, and just last year they put me on a partner track position. Larry said, Oh, why isn't that impressive? Beatrice said, Any firm that I've heard of? Dan asked. Larry cleared his throat. Blake's, Larry said. So, you started off fighting the system, and now you're working for Blake's, the legacy law firm of the system. Fred said, Like I said, the system is rigged. But this was an opportunity one could not pass up. As you said, it's a powerful firm. Larry said, I see you. You made some sacrifices, but now that you're rich and powerful, you're going to take it to the man. Beatrice said, Well, I'm not too rich. In order to network, I have to sort of live a lifestyle. My income barely covers my expenses. And as for power, I can be dismissed at any time if I were to ever step out of line or do anything to hurt the company or our clients. Larry said, And your clients are, Dan asked, the rich and powerful, mostly big corporations. Larry said. An awkward silence fell over the conversation. Well, I'll be honest. I sold out a lot sooner than you guys did. Fred said. And what's your name, sweetie? Fred reached into his jacket pocket and removed 3 business cards and handed them to each of them. Fred J. Casey, MBA, CPA, EVP at KPMG, Dan read. Yup, those are letters all right, Dan said. If you tell me your job is to help corporations evade taxes, Beatrice said. No, but it is to help them maximize profits and shareholder return. Fred said, Well, I'm sure that earns you lots of money from which you can make a difference and donate to worthy causes. Beatrice said, Nope. A $300 a day Coke habit flushed that money right down the toilet. Fred admitted, That sounds about right. Larry said, jokingly slapping him on the back. You seem okay right now. Dan said, I've been sober for a few months now. Fred said. The 3 of them all looked at the beer that Fred was holding in his left hand. From cocaine. Sober from cocaine. Besides, it's a wedding. Fred said, taking a drink. Now that I think about it, Fred, I thought I saw your name on some of the legal back and forth on a few of our companies. Trans Mountain Pipeline? Larry asked. Yup, that was me. Fred said, What I'm hearing is that the only thing that any of you worked on together is to help an oil pipeline, legally and financially. Beatrice said. The 2 looked at each other sheepishly and nodded. Well, it was great getting to know you this evening. I hope you boys enjoy yourselves tonight. Excuse me, Beatrice said. She turned and walked towards another group of people she did not know. The 3 of them looked at each other. They looked at the crowd. Most of the people were having fun, modestly dressed, not the crowd they were used to hanging with. Guys, in all seriousness, what happened to us? Larry asked. We had a plan. We were young, idealistic, and we wanted to fight the system. Now we're maladjusted, grossly ambitious shadows of our former selves. Fred finished. I'm not particularly happy if I have to be honest. Dan said, What's the old saying? You don't fight the revolution, you buy the revolutionaries. Fred said, It's not even like we can do anything about it now. It's not like there's a return policy when you sell your soul, Dan said. You guys are way too well dressed. You remind me of some friends I used to know. Alvin, the groom, walked up to the 3 friends and hugged each and every one of them. Hey, there he is. Larry said, Congratulations, man. We're so happy for you. Fred said, What's wrong? You guys look down. Alvin said, Well, we just had a conversation with your new mother-in-law, and she just had us reflecting on our lives. Larry said, Yeah, she can have that effect on people sometimes. Alvin said, It feels like we don't fit in here with all of these do-gooders you hang out with now. Fred said, Why's that? Because you're a corporate shill, a career-obsessed doctor, and a coked-out investment finance bro? Alvin said. The 3 of them looked at Alvin, stunned. They were surprised he had already known what they had just discovered, and that he had said it out loud as well. I love you guys. Of course I keep tabs on you. Why do you think I invited you here? Look, I have a plan that I need your help with. There are 20 million people in the developing world with cataracts that need our help. I need an eye doctor, a lawyer, and a finance guy to sit on my board for this nonprofit I'm putting together. Alvin said, You want our help? Dan asked, For sure. If you can't save the world with your friends, then what's the point? Next story, 4 tentative raps against a chrome door. Who is it? It's Tyler Ramsey, sir. It's my first day here. I was told to. The shimmering metal slid downward into the floor. Yeah, I know who you are. Come on in, Tyler. The voice was gruff, and his words were clipped. Tyler didn't think it was an inviting voice at all, but he followed his command regardless. All right then, Tyler. Let's see. Your first day at the Institute, huh? How are you feeling? Tyler could feel the cold sweat running down the back of his neck. He replied, I am doing good, sir. Tyler looked around the room whilst the gruff-voiced man clacked away at a keyboard, eyes locked to a holoscreen. The office was like the rest of the facility that Tyler had seen. An array of cutting-edge electronics dressed in a strange mix of polished metal and a tacky plastic-rubber combination, like an old, cheap diner. There was a state-of-the-art computer built into the steel desk, reliable luminescent bulbs protruding from the ceiling, and the door itself was of a modern, maximum security design. But the floor was a charcoal gray, firm rubber blotched with stains, and the walls were made of a sickly, mustard yellow plastic that hurt the eyes when staring at it for too long. As Tyler shifted nervously from one foot to the other, he could hear the sticky film of the rubber floor ripping from the soles of his mag boots. The man behind the desk hit a final key with extra gusto. He then deftly found a lighter and pack of cigarettes from the clutter of his desk. Once a drooping cigarette hung from between his lips, he leant back into his comfortable, ergonomic chair. He wore the same uniform as Tyler, a pressurized, full-body suit made of rubber and metal, with yellow cables that curled from the back to the chest. Tyler felt very cumbersome in his armored uniform, but the man sitting at the desk seemed to wear it like a second skin. He scratched at a poorly kept salt and pepper beard as he gave Tyler a scrutinizing glare. A few agonizing seconds passed. The man then took a drag and breathed a long plume of ash-gray smoke. There's 2 things you need to know, straight off the bat, he declared. Tyler straightened his back and nodded, eagerly awaiting instruction. First things first, the name's Jeremiah. I'm the head of care here at this institute, but you probably knew that already. Tyler nodded. Second thing, you've put your suit on incorrectly. The joint seals aren't fixed properly. If you'd gone out into the pins like that, you'd be dead by the end of your first shift. Tyler flushed red with embarrassment. Oh, they are? I am so sorry, sir. I'll fix this right away. Tyler fumbled clumsily with the soft rubber joints of his suit. He could see the error. The fastening clips had not been pulled tight enough. As he struggled with the clips, Jeremiah pushed out of his chair and strode over to Tyler. His footfalls sounded heavy against the sticky floor. Here, let me help you out, Jeremiah said. Oh, thank you, sir. Please, none of this sir crap. Just call me Jeremiah, or Jay. Either's good. Okay. The 2 of them proceeded to reaffix Tyler's suit. Jeremiah worked swiftly against the rubber seals. How old are you, Tyler? 17, SI Jeremiah, he replied. Jesus, there wasn't any other industry you wanted to go into? Freighting? Asteroid extraction? To say Tyler was troubled by Jeremiah's response would be putting it softly. Tyler swallowed hard, but decided honesty would be the best way to start with his new boss. Xenodimensional biology has always been a fascination to me. So, as soon as I finished school, there was no other choice for me, really. That's so. The last joint seal was fastened correctly, and Jeremiah stepped back to admire their work. There, much better, he said. Jeremiah then rounded his desk, but remained standing. He inhaled another gout of smoke before extinguishing his cigarette in a black-stained, plastic ashtray. He leaned over his deck and clacked at a few keys. He then held one down and leant a little closer to the holoscreen. There was a brief electric tone, then a sharp beep. Hey, Casey. How are you doing? A voice responded from the computer, a thin electric distortion over her words. She replied, "Hey, Jay. Yeah, everything's good. What do you need?" "I've got the new kid here, Tyler. Just thinking of who we could partner him with today. Is Owen free?" A small pause from the computer, then, "No, that's no good. Owen started his holiday today." Jeremiah clicked his tongue. "Of all the days." "All right, Priya then?" "No good either. She's still stuck in that quantum refraction. The earliest we can maybe get her out is early next week." "What about that new girl? You know, the one who started a month ago. Abby? Or Abigail, was it?" "Ashley, you mean?" "Yes, Ashley. Is she free?" "She died last week, Jay, remember? Spent too long in the cube's pin. Ended up like a big bolognese spread all over the walls." Jeremiah pinched the bridge of his nose and sighed with frustration. Yeah, I remember now. Goddamn it. All right, thanks anyway, Casey. Yeah, stay safe." A second bleep. Then Jeremiah released his finger from the key. He straightened his back and sighed again. Tyler has been standing perfectly still, letting the little horrors of that conversation wash over him entirely. He was suddenly beginning to question his childhood enthusiasm for the work. Jeremiah put his hands on his hips and looked over at Tyler. "Well, looks like you're with me today, kid. There are plenty of new hires, but we never seem to have the staff." Tyler remained silent. Owen would have laughed at that. "It's fine. You'll adjust to our humor eventually. Come on, we'd better get a shift on. It's about feeding time. Helmets up." Jeremiah pressed a button on his suit's wide collar. A shimmering cylinder of orange-red glass formed itself around his head. Tyler repeated the process, then followed at his boss's heels. Down halls of polished silver and drab plastic they marched, Jeremiah in the lead, Tyler following just behind him. The young lad felt as if his nerves would consume him entirely, but once they entered the holding pins proper, his anxieties melted away and transformed into an electric curiosity. A wide, brightly lit hallway led into numerous pins made of glass and steel. Behind those energy-laced windows were entities beyond Tyler's wildest imaginings, things he had only read about in scant news reports and scientific journals. Nevertheless, he had been fascinated with such creatures for as long as he could remember. For the pins that could be entered, there was an airlock system to prevent escape or contamination. Despite the threat of such careful security, nothing could dampen Tyler's excitement as he entered his first pin. The room was like a walk-in freezer. Frost clung to every surface, and a low mist hung around their feet. Hovering in the air were 3 hyperbolic dodecahedrons. Each was the size of a human head, and their bodies were inky black and reflective. There were no features, no obvious limbs or methods of locomotion, but they bobbed through the air like bubbles caught in a gentle breeze. They all seemed passive in demeanor. "Thought I'd start you off easy. These little guys are harmless, really." Tyler's eyes and smile were wide under his helmet. "They're wonderful, and we feed them with these?" Tyler gestured with the long nozzle and canister he had picked up before entering the pin. They were attached to each other via a snaking pipe, and within the canister there was a sound like the shifting of sand. "Yeah, that's it. Just aim the nozzle away and squeeze the trigger." Tyler did so, and a metallic gray mist shot from the nozzle. The barbed creatures pivoted quickly into the mist, absorbing the substance through unseen means. "They eat minerals, you see, but only when it's ground into a dust like this. They love iron. Can't get enough of the stuff. Greedy little fellas." Tyler painted the air with metallic plumes, and the creatures danced and feasted in their own esoteric way. Tyler's smile grew wider still. Hours of hard work passed Tyler by. While sometimes slow and a little clumsy, his enthusiasm carried him through the tenser encounters with the xeno-dimensional beings. The Conquerors, as Jeremiah called them, were at the bottom of the Institute's pecking order of lethal guests. As the day rolled on under the artificial lights, the entities grew stranger, more anathematic to what Tyler considered to be the natural way of life. In a pen filled with simple plastic blocks, a swarm of two-dimensional creatures, each the shape of a spider's web, skittered across every surface. They were beautiful to look at, each the blue-green of a tropical sea. But as Tyler passed by the pen, they would swarm towards him, blotting the window entirely in a squirming turquoise shade. Highly toxic, those things, Jeremiah had said. If just one touches you, you've got a few hours before your blood crystallizes and your insides turn hard as stone. So, like most things here, we've got to do things remotely. He had then pushed a blue button on the adjoining wall. Through an electrified chute in the ceiling, the corpse of a pig fell with a heavy slap. Tyler wished to forget what he saw after that. They passed through a multitude of oddities that filled Tyler with equal parts delight and terror. All the while, Jeremiah gave his own simplified understanding of the creatures under their care. See this big worm here? Sometimes we have to get into the pen to clean, but never let it touch you. You'll start remembering it across your whole life. A big fat maggot squatting in your memories. A lifetime parasite, they call it, catalyses your aging process drastically. Nasty things. Now, I know this just looks like a patch of mist and a bunch of neon lights. No, listen, I know it's speaking English, but it isn't really. Think of it like a big parrot. Yes, I know it says things it shouldn't know about you, but it's all a big trick, really. Come on, let's move on. There it is, the famous cube. We don't even feed this one. No one's seen it eat anything in 5 decades. But still, be careful if you're ever doing maintenance in there. Don't want to end up like poor Abby. By the end of his first shift, the inside of Tyler's helmet stunk with sweat. He was exhausted, hungry, and felt something like pins and needles pressing into his brain. He assumed the latter was some harmless quirk of working with such alien creatures. He hoped as much, anyway. But they had come to the final pin at last. Tyler peered through the window to get a good look at the hungry resident within. The creature was large, roughly 5 feet in length and quadrupedal. It reminded Tyler of a reptile, but one that had crawled out from a semi-lucid nightmare. The moss green of its body was covered in scales the shape of Penrose triangles, making it difficult to behold for more than a few seconds. It possessed a head, but a clear face could not be seen as it was in the shape of an impossible trident. A blivet-shaped snout that snuffled at the steel flooring of its pen. But as the two reached the window, it stopped and slowly turned its head upwards at them. It was stranger still as the longer Tyler tried to observe it. Its body behaved unusually. As light refracts and flares when observed in certain ways, so did the body of the blivet beast. It made Tyler queasy to see the ersatz flesh of the creature shift like a lens flare before his eyes. "And what do you call this one?" Tyler inquired. Jeremiah leant against the window with one arm. He turned to Tyler, yawning as he said, "Don't know yet. Big fella is new, a fresh catch from the Fisher by Proxima 6. Only arrived a day ago. We don't really." Tyler's eyes grew wider still as the blivet beast lunged towards the glass. But rather than impacting against the wall of its cage, its snout passed harmlessly through the glass and was dyed electric purple in color. In that brief moment, Jeremiah was unaware that impossible jaws were thrusting towards his hand against the glass. Adrenaline pumped through young Tyler. He unclipped a portable, standard-issue electroprod on his suit's belt, whilst in the same motion lunging for Jeremiah's arm and ripping him away from the window. The violet maw burst from the glass, humming a discordant tone as its body defied their three-dimensional reality. Tyler plunged the electroprod into the beast's snout, releasing a burst of yellow electricity. The creature recoiled back into its pen, reluctantly padding away from the window. "Jesus Christ!" Jeremiah cried. He quickly moved to a control panel beside the pen window. He opened a semi-opaque casing and flicked a switch. A hum could be heard behind the walls of the pen as security systems came to life. The blivet beast lunged at the glass again, but was rebuffed by an electric charge now coursing through the inner window. Tyler and Jeremiah stood there, panting in their suits and staring at the sulking, caged creature. "Aya, are you all right, sir?" Tyler stammered. Jeremiah turned, staring at the young apprentice with wide eyes. He replied, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good." They both took a few steps back and caught their breaths. Slowly but surely the adrenaline drained from their bodies. "Sorry about that," Jeremiah said. "Some idiot flipped the security switch the wrong way. Good thing we found out. That thing could have been prowling about anywhere." "Yeah," Tyler responded. There were few words that came to his mind. It was his first day on the job, and already he felt his own end was close at hand, as if life and death was separated only by a fragile pane of glass. As his anxieties churned inside of him, Jeremiah clasped a hand onto his shoulder and gave him a reassuring smile. "You know what, kid? I think you'll do just fine here." Tyler did not feel reassured. "Next story, I am early. Not just early, 1 hour early. No one wants to be late on their first day of job, but now I am standing in front of the gate, and I have to kill at least 45 minutes before entering inside the office. Killing 45 minutes in a normal day is not a big deal. I could have taken a walk and checked the surroundings, but today is not a normal day. Since yesterday night, it is continuously snowing and sometimes raining, and that's another reason I head for office early. It's freezing cold outside, and if someone sees me standing outside in this weather, they will think I am a madman. There is a high chance I might not survive 45 minutes outside in this cold." I tried to look around. Is someone approaching towards my direction? I think yes. There is hardly any visibility with the heavy snow, but now I am definite. A girl in a long fur core, approaching towards me. Once she is in my visibility, I notice her core is almost touching her boots, and she is carrying a purple umbrella to avoid the snow. "Girl, do you work here?" "MMM. Today is my first day." "Girl, me too." She looks relieved finding someone similar. I was so nervous. I barely had any sleep last night and today morning, even after trying hard to be on time. I am 50 minutes early. I laugh awkwardly. "Yes, same here, girl. How long have you been standing here in the snow? Do you want to come for a cup of coffee in the Starbucks instead? Or you would prefer to stand here and freeze to death?" "There is a Starbucks here." I tried to glance around because I remembered looking around a few minutes before but didn't see a single open shop. "Girl, yes, just around the corner. You can't see it from here, but it's literally in 2 minutes walk." "Okay, let's go." We reach the Starbucks in less than 2 minutes and order our coffee. I order a Americano while she orders a hot chocolate. The cafe is almost empty. We pick a seat beside the door, facing the glass wall. "Girl, you are new in the area? By the way, I am Jane." "Sam, how do you know I am new here?" "Jane, isn't it obvious? You didn't know about this Starbucks?" I soon realize I asked a dumb question. I nod and smile. "You are a local?" "Jane, I am from London, but my dad and stepmom lives nearby, so I know this area." "Where in London?" "I am from Bexley, outskirt of London, and moved here this weekend for the job." "Jane, I know Bexley. My aunt lives there." I check my watch. It's almost 8:45. I think we should leave now, but before I can say anything, Jane noticed me and takes the last sip of her hot chocolate. "Let's go." I am done. We enter inside the big black gate. There is a reception at the right side of the gate. "Jane, let's ask the reception lady where to go." I nod. "Hi, today is our first day and..." She cut me in the mid-sentence. "Department?" She is rude. "HR receptionist. Miss Lucy?" "Yes, Miss Lucy is the contact person." She hand over us 2 temporary ID card. "Wait there. Someone from HR team will take you to the upstairs soon." We seat in the waiting area. Jane in a low voice. She is rude. I nod and try to smile. "Jane, how far is your place from here?" Before I can answer her, a lady approaches us. "Are you the new joiners of HR team?" We stand up and nod in unison. She smiles a little. "Hi, my name is Tina. Nice to meet you guys. Please follow me." We follow her inside the lift. Once out of the lift, we follow her. One more door. Inside this door, there are many small cubicles and a small name tag hanging from the ceiling. HR department. She takes us to an empty meeting room. "You guys wait here. I will send someone from IT department soon." The meeting room is a small space with an oval-shaped table in the middle and chairs around it. There is a big screen opposite to the door and few wires and speaker in the middle of the table. Jane is seating near the door, and I take the seat opposite to Jane facing the door. "Jane, what do you think? What will happen today?" "I think today they will explain the HR system to us, give accesses, and then the actual work will start from tomorrow." Jane nod. "Why Tina mentioned about IT department? Is she misunderstood us with IT training?" I stare at her for a moment. Is she joking, or she seriously doesn't know? "I think IT department will give us access to the HR system, or maybe they will give us laptops or a signed computer." Jane raises her eyebrows and looks at me with an awe. You are right. How come this didn't occur to me? Before I can say anything, Jane continues without waiting for me to answer. Is this your first job? Not first job, but first corporate job, yes. I wanted to stop here, but Jane is still looking at me with a look that says I want to know more. So I continue. My dad died when I was 12, so to help mom. I used to work in a movie theater after school since I was 15. Jane looks down at his manicured nails for a few seconds. Oh, I'm so sorry. And you are the only child? Nope, I have a sister. She is 15 now. I try to smile. Jane nods. Before she can ask me any more personal question, I ask him, and what about you? Jane, my mom and dad separated when I was 5. Mom never married again, but started seeing someone from her office soon after her divorce. Dad married Pamela 6 months after divorce, and now they have 2 daughters of their own. And you will be staying with your dad's family for next 3 months? Jane, I don't want to, but Dad is insisting. You are close to your dad and his new family? Jane, I am close with my dad, and I know he is insisting because he wants to spend more time with me, but I can't imagine staying with Pamela under the same roof for 3 months. I look at my watch while Jane continues. We are sitting here for almost 30 minutes now and no sign of IT guys. Before Jane can notice what is going on in my mind, I ask her, and how is your relation with your half-sisters? Jane continues without noticing me. They are still child. One is 7 and one is 3. They don't yet know the complexity of relations. I give him I can understand smile. Jane straightens her back and looks behind at the door. Still no one. We are here for more than an hour, I think. 45 minutes to be exact. Jane raised her eyebrow. Oh, wow. Looks like this is going to be an exciting first day of job. I laugh. Jane, can I ask you something? I look at her in confusion. Since morning, all she is doing is asking me questions, and now she wants my permission. She understands what I am thinking. I mean, can I ask you something personal? I nod. Jane, you mentioned your dad died when you were very young. What happened? Only if you want to share. No pressure at all, she clarifies. I wanted to say I don't want to share, but if I have a control over the situation, I want those IT guys here right now, so that I don't have to share my story with her, but also I don't have to say no to her. She looks at me expectantly with puppy eyes. It's hard to say no to her. I try to look outside the door for a moment. Nope, no one is coming towards us, or no one is even looking at us, as if we don't exist. Looks like I don't have a choice but to share my story with Jane. I clear my throat. I don't mind sharing, but it's a long story. Jane looks back to check if anyone is coming, then looks at me. Looks like we have all the time of the world. No one cares what we are doing on first day at work. My mom and dad both were medical representative by profession. They met in a work meeting and started seeing each other. My mom was giving a presentation and dad happened to be in the same room attending that presentation. He immediately fell in love with her personality. My mom is very beautiful, but what attracts my dad the most was her personality and intelligence. They dated for almost a year, and then dad proposed her. Mom told her parents about dad only after engagement. She was leaving alone in London and working, and the main reason was she never thought dad will propose her within a year of dating. So in her mind, she had enough time to tell her parents, but then suddenly she had no time, and when she informs her parents, she was already engaged. My grandpa didn't like how my mom handled the whole situation, but she was the only child and he couldn't stay upset with her long. But when my grandpa met my dad, for some reason he didn't like him and asked mom not to marry him. Grandpa never gave any reason, but he was like, "This boy is not good for you. You can easily find a better person than him. Please don't marry him." My mom didn't understand why her dad is against the marriage. Neither did grandma. I stop in the middle when I notice Tina is coming towards us. She opens the door. Hey guys. Sorry, the IT guys are really busy today with some security incident. I don't think you will receive your laptops today. And seeing the weather outside, I don't mind if you want to go home and come back tomorrow. We both look at her in confusion. She understands our dilemma. She laughs. I know, what are you thinking? It's absolutely okay to leave. Anyway, this is your first day. Getting new laptop, setting up and getting access will take 1 week easily. Until then you are free to leave a little bit early if you want. No one will judge you. But once you have everything set up, we are very strict about timings and assignments. Before I can say anything, Jane thanks her. I will check when is my next train and will leave accordingly if that is okay. Tyne, Sure. Enjoy the rest of the day and see you tomorrow. As soon time leaves, I ask Jane, I thought you stay nearby. You have to catch a train? Jane, of course not. But I want to hear the rest of the story, hence buying some time so that time doesn't feel why are we still here? If she comes back again, so I don't have a choice but to continue the story? Jane raises her eyebrow and smiles a little, no doubt there. Mom and Dad married anyway in that summer, Jane. And your grandpa? He never liked Dad, but he did came to the wedding. Jane, what happened after that? I was born soon after the marriage, within a year. Mom left her job just before my born, and then they had my sister, so Mom never joined the company back. She was happy being a stay-home mom and dedicate her whole time in raising us. Whatever memory I have from my childhood, we were always a very happy family. Dad used to travel a lot for work, every month 2 to 3 times. Mom was not very happy about it, because when Dad was gone, Mom had to handle both the kids alone for 1 or 2 nights in a row. One such night when Dad was gone, we got a call from a hospital. Dad met an accident and found dead. Jane looks at me with a moist eyes. That's not it. There was a woman in his car who also died in that accident. Later, when police verify everything, they found hotel tickets, phone records, and Dad's company confirms they never send Dad to that work trip. In fact, since Dad's promotion, when I was 4 years old, his job didn't include any travel for work. Jane, oh gosh. Our whole life was a lie, and the worst thing is we were a happy family. My mom never doubted Dad, and we had no clue he is living a double life. And that woman, in Dad's car, she was also happily married and mother of 2. As soon as I finish that sentence, I stand up and grab my coat. I think I should leave now. See you tomorrow. I didn't wait for Jane to respond. She might think I am rude, or she might understand how hard it was for me to share it with a total stranger. Either way, I was already in the lift and soon out of the building.